Happy Sabbath, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Sunday morning edition. This is Gashi Skyman. Many leaders, including the Gen Zs, have been calling for 25th June to be declared a public holiday. Many people are saying that considering what happened in June 25th last year, when Gen Z stormed Parliament and the youth were killed in their numbers by the ruthless administration of William Samoei Ruto. Blood was shed and people were maimed. Kenyans are actually for the June 25th to be remembered in Kenya as an important day. And Kenyans have been agitating for this to happen, and none other than the leaders in the opposition and the leaders of the human rights and those in various organizations have been talking about it. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I want us to look at the reason why many people have been agitating for June 25th to be a holiday, to be a public holiday. If you're here for the first time, please remember to subscribe to our channel. And if you have been watching our videos, remember we are very, very happy. We don't take it for granted. Those of you who have always liked our video, we actually very, very elated. Ladies and gentlemen, why is this happening? Why are leaders calling for a public holiday in June 25th? And by the way, it is just a few days, after the week after next week, that is when this happened. Number one, in my view, this means that the pain is still there. The pain is still fresh in their blood. The pain of the nation is still with us. It means that that pain is still actually being felt among the Kenyan population. You see, when people start calling for a public holiday, it means that it is something that they hold so dearly. So the government should learn a lesson here and realize that it is actually very, very painful to actually maim, kill, and shed blood and dance on the graves of the youth. And this means that blood is very, very precious. The life of a human being is not that of a goat. Ladies and gentlemen, and let me ask you, are you still feeling the pain? When you remember what happened, gunshots in Parliament everywhere, and people actually coming on the road with their handkerchiefs and the flags and whatever, mobile phones, only to be faced by guns and water canisters. Ladies and gentlemen, the pain is still there. That is the message that the government need to learn. Number two is about the history of this nation. That day, June 25th, when the historians will sit down and start writing the history of this nation, that date will occupy several chapters. The chapters will be painful. The chapters will be remembered by generations to come. And remember, even the BBC gave an expose of exactly what happened in Parliament. Remember, they came up with an episode that actually angered the government, and they talked about the bloody Parliament. And the powers that be were very, very, very angry. So this one tells you that history of this nation was written in blood during that time. So it means it is something that generations will remember. And especially that idea of invading Parliament. You know, it had not happened anywhere else, especially in Africa. I think there was a time, I can't remember when it happened in any other country. Maybe if you're here, you can remind us if you have ever heard of a situation where Parliament was overrun by the youth or by the Kenyans or any other people in that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, that is now about history. Number three is about the determination. Kenyans are determined for change. Kenyans want to see the change as far as the economy is concerned. Remember that demonstration was about the finance bill. It was about taxations. It was about leaders actually living life with a big spoon and Kenyans dying of a hunger. These guys were dying of overeating, while Kenyans were dying of hunger. Remember, the finance bill was about dissatisfaction. The finance bill was about the struggle. The finance bill came after a series of taxes were introduced by the government, including housing taxes, including so many taxes. And it came when the civil servants' taxes were higher than their take-home paycheck. And this one is very, very significant, politically speaking. The other thing is about compensation. None other than the leader of the opposition, Raila Amolo Odinga, has been saying that the government needs to compensate those people who were abducted, those people who were killed by the government, those people who were killed by the state operatives. And Raila Amolo Odinga is not your ordinary person. Raila Amolo Odinga, together with other leaders, feel that the government needs to compensate the families of these people. Remember, some of these guys who died were the only breadwinners in those families. Others were the only child in their families. Others were the only fathers. Others were newly married. So when Raila Amolo Odinga and other leaders calls for compensation, I think they have the reason to do it. And the government now, what the government needs to do is to come up with a compensation plan. Identify those people who are killed and their families, and even apologize to the nation, apologize to these families, call them, if it's William Samuel Ruto, call them to State House and apologize, compensate them. That's not too much if you ask me, because the government has money, the government has the machinery, the government has there's everything to do what is supposed to be done, ladies and gentlemen. And the other reason is about the image and the perception that Kenyans has about this government. Kenyans feel that we are not yet out of the woods. Kenyans feel that the image they have, the perception they have about the government is that of a blood-based government. That is why the current regime has been christianized as a blood-based government. And this is because of the high number of Kenyans who have died under this government. And for sure, many people have died under the leadership of this government. So when you look at it, you realize that the government now need to know the perception among Kenyans, the way they take the government. So when they do this, then they need to do the right thing and maybe try to change the image. And the only thing they can do this is only doing the right thing, because what the government has been doing, it has been accused, it has blood in its mouth, it has blood in its fingers, it has blood everywhere. So unless they stop these killings and they stop these kind of things, then the perception and the image of the government is going to be about this. Then it's also about a constant reminder. What these people who are calling for public holiday, they are telling Kenyans, they are telling the government that we need to reflect on our nation. We need to know where we are coming from. You need to know that life was lost. We need to know about what the government need to do when it comes to respecting human rights. Remember, you have inalienable human rights. Nobody can say that you don't have the right to life, you don't have the right to live, you don't have the right to demonstration. So it is a rallying call, a reminder that we are here, we are where we are because of so many reasons. It's also about 2027 general elections. The government should know that Kenyans have not forgotten. That is the message. That's the message the government should get from those people who are calling for public holiday, that we have not forgotten. And 2027 is coming. It's also about William Samuel Ruto as the President of the Republic of Kenya. Kenyans are telling him that you presided over a regime. You came in as a savior. You came in as a messiah. But what we have harvested is blood. You came in as a president who was actually expected to actually take this country to greater heights. You came here as a Joshua who was supposed to take Kenya to Canaan. But instead of taking Kenya to Canaan, you drown them into the lake. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about so many things. It's about the police and the way they are killing people. It's about intimidation. It's about the government upholding the rule of law. So when Kenyans are calling for the June 25 to be a public holiday, then I don't know what the government is supposed to do other than do the right thing. Let me ask you before we end this video. Do you want or do you support the rallying call that June 25 be declared a public holiday? What is your take? Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, this is Gashi Skyman. Bye-bye.